Living in Mexico as I do now, I have to say I'm astonished by the number of people, some even long-term residents, who don't speak Spanish. Yes, it's hard to learn a language in adulthood for some people, but haz un poco de esfuerzo. Come on. I speak Spanish well enough to get by, and even when local folks reply to me in English, I continue the conversation in both languages just to show, one, I can speak the language, and two, I don't expect you to conform to my needs and life experience. I was in Portugal recently, scraping the back of my brain for the Portuguese that I used pretty well after a week in Salvador de Bahia 10 years ago, when my mother and I did a bucket list vacation to the most African city in the Western Hemisphere. I had to make an alteration from the lyrical mente pronunciation of ly words, normalmente, rapidamente, from normalmente to what I thought was a little more brusque, normalmente. I had to learn good day is not bom dia, but bon dia. These linguistic gymnastics are good for the soul. On my van to the airplane in Lisbon, a Portuguese-American gentleman who was tickled by my esforço began to launch into this long and humorous story about New York, Nova Yorke, knowing that I'd only understand about 25% of what he said. And don't even talk to me about trying to navigate delivery or service over the phone in Spanish. It is humbling. I lived in Paris in my 20s, and I was and am totally fluent, yet going to the theater and navigating Gallic theater French always kept me on my toes. What I'm saying is it's exciting to accept an entirely different pronunciation and linguistic and cultural reality. I think it makes you humble and aware. And even if travel is not accessible to you, there is a pleasure and closeness, I think, in experiencing life in a different language. It's a way to remind us all that we are not the center of our collective universe. I think of those who had to navigate language as immigrants or migrants instead of tourists. So Josephine Baker, of course, was an entertainer, but she lived in France during the resistance and fought and was given great awards for doing so later in life. Or China Mary, the Tombstone, Arizona shopkeeper who held it down among the gunslingers. And really, any migrant woman or person navigating life across language, I have so much respect. If you've been hanging around Brave Sis Project for a while, you're familiar with Jane Johnson's Schoolcraft. She was of Ojibwe and Irish descent and is recognized as the first known Native American woman writer and poet in the United States. Jane was bilingual, fluent in both Ojibwe and English, and sometimes French. She played a critical role in recording, transcribing, and preserving Ojibwe legends, stories, and songs, publishing poetry and stories in both her indigenous language and English. Or Jhumpa Lahiri, born in London to Bengali parents, raised in the U.S., she now writes in Italian. Her prize-winning book, Interpreter of Maladies, is literally about translation between worlds. They didn't wait for the world to speak their language. They learned new ones, switched between them, created hybrid tongues, and thrived in the spaces in between. And to me, the wobbliness of struggling to speak, to find words and concepts in different languages is an important reminder of how to decenter. So how does that concept relate to racial and ethnic inclusion and justice? Think about that a little, in whichever language you choose.